guess what? I have another game, and by no small miracle, the replay actually works the entire way through. So be prepared for a full game, finally. I'm up against Goose84, who's using the ultimate Nin Nemesis, Maelstrom Wanderer, which always gives this deck trouble, mainly because you're always, or not always, but most of the time you're aiming for a very long grindy game, and they tend to get up to 8 mana pretty quickly. So you usually have to deal with the Maelstrom Wanderer and its cascaded friends several times. The good news is that often, in order to enable the fast Maelstrom Wanderer, the deck tends to play with a lot of mana acceleration. So often they're just cascading into more mana acceleration, and if you have a way of countering Maelstrom Wanderer permanently, they're left kind of with nothing much to do. So we'll see how this game goes. At least he does not have a turn 1 Soul Ring or Mana Crypt, which makes the deck, of course, much, much better. I've got a Daze and a Mystical Tutor and a lack of blue mana. But I'm not really planning to do much for a little while anyway, and I'm actually, if he's going to cast something like a Sylvan Library here, I would absolutely Daze it, even though it would set me back a lot. If he's playing a Mana Rock, definitely not. And if he's playing into the north, that qualifies pretty much as like a Fellwar Stone type effect. So we're going to let that go. Alright, so ordinarily with only 2 blue sources, I would really be interested in developing my mana further, which means not using Mystical Tutor right now and just hoping to use the Daze to stop stuff. But because of the Thran Dynamo, I actually really want to get Mana Vault. I want to get Mana Drain because it'll allow me to stop potentially devastating turn 4 play here, or something like Kodama's Reach, which I can't Daze, and that will allow me to play the Thran Dynamo and still potentially play something like Nin the Pain Artist afterward if I draw red. So we're going to go get Mana Drain. It's always like a very tough call to know when to do this, or whether or not to immediately tutor for Mana Drain or not at the expense of developing your lands. I mean, obviously I would never do this if I didn't have 2 blue, but the fact that I don't have red makes this a little bit more dicey of a play. But I really feel like against this particular commander, you can't screw around, and you need to be able to do everything you can to stifle their mana development. And the Mana Drain, actually, I feel, is so threatening for him because he doesn't know what's in my deck that he might not play stuff that he ordinarily would and just opt to play more kind of innocuous threats rather than really dangerous ones, and certainly not as more expensive ones, because again, he doesn't know exactly what I'm going to do to him. So just the very threat of this might buy me enough time to draw into the blue and red sources that I need. Alright, so he's got all 3 colors, and it's all basic. Bloodbraid Elf. So I think a lot of people would just look at that and go, oh, well, awesome, 4 mana thing, I'll just Mana Drain that and get a free Thran Dynamo. But if you think about that, unless I top deck an island, that doesn't really do me a lot of good. So I need to see what's cascading as well. Alright, it's just a Coiling Oracle. And if you actually give some thought to dazing this, just because I don't want him to flip over another land, because again, him developing his mana is such a dangerous thing, but I decide ultimately I'm going to take the risk, because I think I'd rather just keep Bloodbraid Elf out of play so that I'm not under a heavy damage clock. I'm just going to use the Daze right now, since I can hard cast it. I decide not to Mana Drain. I'm going to wait for something more palpable. And not just so much that I can't use the 4 mana, but I'm going to wait until I can actually do something meaningful with it. i.e. I've got Nin in play and I can use the colorless, or I've got Future Sight out, or it'll at least allow me to deploy something besides a Thran Dynamo, which doesn't really actually do me a lot of good right now. Alright, so I got Grim Monolith. I have to just pass again. So we're moving into very, very scary territory here. This deck's already at 5 land, and I don't even have more than 2 blue up. Do another 2 blue counter, so I'm just going to play Grim Monolith. And next turn I fully intend to use the Monolith and the Reliquary Tower to put the Thran Dynamo out. It's kind of neat how those two pretty much, or this, paying for this almost allows you to untap this thing for free. It's a great combo. End of turn, he casts Crossing Grip, which I think is extremely premature. I mean, again, he doesn't know what's in my deck, but I think that is a little bit premature. I mean, I can understand why he would do it, because maybe I've got some gnarly spell, and certainly he's playing with lots of those. And the fact that I missed a land drop probably makes it an easier choice, but still, I'm not a big fan of destroying Grim Monolith or Mana Crypt. really ever, because you can usually just deal with the thing that they play. So it's got 6 mana out now. Ah, Gilded Lotus, how nice would that have been if I had chained those 3 together. Instead, we're just going to sit on our hands. 7. Alright, it's getting really, really scary now. Come on, deck. Deliver. Strip mine. That's certainly very interesting, given the fact that he's sitting on a single red source. And ordinarily I would be very loath to strip mine, given that I'm sitting on so few lands myself, but I think in this case the opportunity to destroy red and hope that he doesn't have another one is overwhelming. I mean, who knows, right? It's EDH. There's a lot of variance, and he could go 5, 6, 7 turns without drawing red again, which would buy me plenty of time to develop. Let's see what happens. Alright. Eternal Witness. Well, that gets red mana. So I think we've finally found our mana drain target. And I'm going to have to risk playing into a counter here. And it's something I am willing to risk, because I do have a follow-up that if he does have a counter spell, when I play the mana drain, I don't get the mana, but if I draw another land, I can play the land and immediately play Gilded Lotus and back it up with Hinder, which is almost a better result, knowing that he can't counter it. But I'm going to mana drain here. Sure enough, he doesn't have anything. That's one thing about Maelstrom Wanderer. Tends to be a very proactive deck, and doesn't really play a lot of counter spells, if any at all. I mean, they really can't get away with playing a lot, because you can't cascade into counters. So, he didn't have red. That looks pretty good for us. Take 1. Alright, come on, deck, what you gonna do? Cryptic Command. That's actually extremely timely, because the way this mana is going to work out here. Pretty sure he doesn't have a counterspell, because I think he would have counterspelled my, I think he would have counterspelled the mana drain. So we're going to just pretend like he doesn't have a counter. And to Gilded Lotus. Suddenly my mana goes from 4 to 10 in 1 turn. And the top deck Cryptic Command is just perfect. Alright, attack. That certainly means he doesn't have red, right? Because you would want to play this guy before attack step. Steam Vents, what in the hell? I see him play that. That's really baffling. Look at this. Tapped 7. I guess, actually, yeah, I guess he didn't take the damage. He cast Temporal Mastery. So greedy. So freaking greedy. Alright, we're going to Cryptic Command that for sure to draw. Because the reason why that's so greedy is I assume he doesn't have any red mana in his hand, which means that now the Wasteland shuts off his red again. Use the Lotus and that. I'm going to play Future Sight. So land on top, which is nice. Play that. To Wasteland the red, play Everflowing Chalice. Fortifying even further. And of course we have the Hinder mana up. And potentially into the Royal at the end of the turn, which I would certainly happily play without kicker, if it meant bouncing something that he played out of his hand. He just, I think he top decked another mountain right here. So here comes the big guy. Time to spin the wheels. Cascade. So, first cascade is Cyclonic Rift, which thankfully he cannot cast with Overload. So he opts to bounce my Future Sight, which I completely agree with. There's no temptation, of course, to use Into the Royal in response. Second card, I've dodged 1 bullet. Hunting Wild. See, classic Maelstrom Wanderer whiff. You get mana off the cascade, which normally could be okay against a counterspell, because that means that even if it is countered, you've got 2 more land out and you can just replay it the following turn. But I happen to have Hinder in hand, which means Maelstrom Wanderer is gone. Alright, so I know Into the Royal's on top. I'm a little bit vulnerable here. But let's see what else is on top. Well, it's nice having the Mind Stone here, and this also. It's a lot of extra redraws into counters. Negate. Alright, well that's perfect. Because I don't care about creatures because of Into the Royal unless they have hexproof. And Negate stops things like land destruction or anything that might kill Future Sight. So very happy to see that on top. Yeah, my one regret is I think I tapped, probably should not have tapped the Gilded Lotus here. Because putting Nin out, this would have been a good turn to play Nin. And if I had tapped this for red, I could have tapped 3 blue. Well, actually, no, I guess I didn't really have much of a choice. Because if I had tapped 3 blue and I had flipped over, revealed a counterspell, then I would not have been able to play it. So I guess in retrospect, this is probably the safer play. Future Sight is like quasi-nin, so I don't really need to put out a card drawing engine with this out, since it's card drawing engine all by itself. Move this over here. Alright, 4 cards in hand. He's just drawn red after red after red. I guess he got 2 red sources with his thing. Wormcoil engine, which we saw before, I think. He revealed that with the Coiling Oracle, I forgot to tell you guys. And we do not care about that at all. Yeah, it doesn't warrant like a reshuffle or anything, or even drawing a card off the Mind Stone, because I'm at 35 and I don't really care about it at all. Especially not with the End of the Royal in hand. And of course we're not sacking Misty Rainforest because I do want to draw the negate. There's an island and Pact Negation on top. Very, very nice card to get right now. So I can just put out Nim the Pain Artist. Solemn Simulacrum. Doesn't affect the board at all, so that gets through easily. Even though it is tempting, of course, to Pact off the top because it's free. But we have grander plans. Oh, spending a lot of mana here. Sacking 3 islands. That can only mean one thing. That's Walk the Eons. And sure enough, it is Walk the Eons. Buyback. Sacrifice 3 islands. It's pretty ballsy knowing your opponent has a negate in hand, but I guess he's just desperate trying to get something going. And as tempting as it would be to cast a 0 mana spell off the top to counterspell a 6 mana sorcery that cost him 3 land, it actually makes a lot more sense to negate here for a lot of reasons. The primary reason is that I'm out of hard counters, and Pact is a hard counter that I want to keep. The other reason, of course, is that I don't want to spend 5 mana on my upkeep that could be 5 cards strong, so we're just going to negate it. Get bash for 7, no big deal. It's got a land, so it's completely out of gas. Draw Silver Falls, another land. Here they all come. Sack that first. Just reveal another land, but thank you, client, for doing that. Because of Pact of Negation, the fact it only has 1 card in hand, I can safely just pump a gazillion mana in it. I decided I'm going to keep 2 mana available just for the End of the Royal. But I guess it's plenty of cards anyway. 11, the difference between 11 and 13 is so trivial that no reason to tap down completely. Although I probably should have left 2 blue up, or 2 basic islands. Anyway, with 11 card drawing on the stack, him dealing no damage, and me having Future Sight in play, my opponent elects to scoop it up, which I completely agree with. Pretty cool game. Always fun to beat Maelstrom Wonder, especially when things get hairy at the 8 mana stage, and he did in fact cast it. And with my early mana problems, it was a little more scary than it should have been. But glad to get this win, and hopefully I can get some more replays of games that are complete. Hope you guys like that one, and I will see you later.